Okay, everybody, this is a quick video to cover a bunch of different stocks. I'm going to run through them kind of quickly because I have been doing a lot of long videos and I thought it was time for something shorter and more concise. So let's get right to it. All right. First up, as you see here, is Bit Digital, BTBT. I love this one and I've got a few marks here I want to show you. When you zoom in, this is on this is the 1 day chart. So a full daily chart. I've got some price levels already matched in here. This top green line is the prior, uh, I guess you could say resistance from November of this 24. So if we can breach around 580, I believe that we would go to the next level, which we can zoom out here, which is a $2 move. We zoom out to the old school days of the high cryptos in 2021, November. So we have November 24, which is the low green line. November 21, the higher green line is a $9 move from where we currently sit, which is a very, very nice space to be in from, I think we're at what, 360. I'll take that because it's a nice price point for anybody to be able to afford some shares. Moving all the way up to a $13 level. Okay. They've got some great stuff coming from the executives, the company, AI moves, and we are seeing crypto obviously doing some crazy stuff with spot ETFs, BlackRock joining in, and all sorts of things with SEC calming themselves down with crypto. So I would definitely keep an eye on Bit Digital. This one also, if you're new to the wheel strategy, which is where you can start with doing covered calls, or you can start with cash secured puts, become assigned, get those shares at a better rate, flip them to covered calls if you were to do cash secured put, sorry, I mumbled that one. And then you can flip it over to covered calls. You can make money and premiums doing both and potentially keep your shares, or if you were to actually get out of the money and they become sold, just do it again as long as the price point is within this $3 to $4 range. But I feel like the entry to Bit Digital here is a very good price. We had a nice big upswing here, lots of volume. We are dipping down a bit, so if we can reach back to 320s, 3 to 320s, I think that'd be a great entry point. As you can see over here, we have a level of support at 310, 320. So if it does dip down in there and we have more bullish movement off of the 50, I would say, in my opinion, that we are going to go right back up to prior highs at this level, and we should reach in the fives for sure. Like I said, we have a $2 move from this current point, 250 if it was to come back to support. So I like this one a lot. Keep this one on your watch list. RSI is hot for the dailies, but the MACD is still bullish, hasn't yet reversed, even though we do have some selling volume. And on the 4 hour time frame, not much changed. Here's some sell volume starting to come back down, but anywhere above 50 on RSI, we're still golden. Stochastic is a bit more bearish, but that can change even in the mid, as you see here. So, anyways, moving on. A newer one, I would say newer company, but one that others have not really heard about as far as I'm concerned is AMPX, Amprius. And man, on the 4 hour chart, look at that. We do have a high RSI, so be careful coming into the next few days. Likely we'll have a pullback. This looks like a level of small support. I would say in the 560s range, 550, 560. Pull back into here. If it holds and we stay above the 50 EMA, we're going to keep popping. We can come back out. Let's go back to the 1 year and see what is done. not too much yet. Here's a real strong support level at the mid to high $3. So we are up a pretty significant level. So if we can drop back down on a nice pullback, but so far so good. This thing's getting some serious coverage in the news, on insider buys. This one also has great products when it comes to their line of what they're going to be doing for EV and those types of. I'm not going to say a specific company is using them, but they make the products for a lot of EV, which is everything from cars to air. And this is this real low volume here, not too long ago, about a year ago, I suppose. Next to nothing, right? We're less than $1 in some of these points. We went from that all the way up, and we have room to go. Check this out. We go all the way back here to 2022, $12, $13. Even before that, we can hit a 5. No, it's not gonna let me do 5. Fine, legend. Doesn't matter. There is definitely some room to grow. $13, $15, a strong resistance at 12. But okay, $12, really? We're sitting at $6. So we could double this. And at $5, $6 price point, let's say it pulls back. Like I said, let's say it pulls back to $4. Okay, we lose $2. We DCA in. We grab. I think they've got options. We got some long-term options. I think this one might be a winner alongside SRFM? Please believe it's SRFM, Surf Air Mobility. So keep a look at this one. Slightly, if you want to, you could think of this one as a cup and handle. I do have that in my notes. It's a bit hard to see, but if you consider this whole swing, the cup, maybe like to here, right? A big trough, and then you have a handle, and then here we go, right up. Cup and handle, that's your bullish significance right there. And it broke that neckline, not neckline, but it broke that baseline right there. Smashed through that resistance, and we're on the way to the next one, which would be potentially this one over here, way back in 23. So if we can crush through into the mid $6 range, we will go all the way into the 7s and 8s. Not financial advice, but that's my opinion. Next, BBAI. Let's turn that music off for a second here. BBAI, this thing is wild. And at this point, it's hard to chart because it has all these peaks, peak. And to me, it has some play. I think this has definitely a great possibility to run, but we're back here in 2022. Could it get back up to the $12, $13 range? I believe so. $10 for sure. We hit $10 back here in the early 25. I say we can easily come back to hit that again. We're going to retrace back. I would venture to bet we're going to probably come back into, $6, probably around the $6 mark. We'll come back in here, and then I think we're going to go up from there. That's personally my opinion. We are very hot in the RSI, so it makes sense it's going to trace back. But that's another one to keep track of. I like that one a lot. I'm going to actually cut some of these off because I'm just going to verbally tell you about them. I'm not going to cover all of them visually, but I'll tell you about them verbally real quick. I'm going to show you one more. And I think this one's interesting, is General Mills. I'm like, General Mills? Why General Mills? General Mills I like because of the fact that their competitor, Kellogg, KLG, has a buyout offer from Ferrero, the Italian candy food company, for $3 billion. And when they did that and went public today, KLG jumped almost $10 right there. And so if they're going to be acquired by another large name, I think General Mills is going to have some problems. So I'm not looking at this one as a buy. I'm looking at this one as a potential options put, pretty much down to its old support at the 45 to 48 level, which is, I mean, we're pretty close. You know, we're at 51. But look at this. It's not looking great for General Mills here. So pretty solid downtrend, and it's got room to fall. We lost this resistance at 53. The next one's going to be at 45, 47. Keep this one on your watch list as far as puts are concerned. Eventually, as most things, they'll stabilize and then go from there. But I like this one for puts. If you are into options, keep an eye on this one. The other ones are simply going to be, let's put this up here for a second. Watch for UNH. A lot of insider buys, executive buys, they're still buying in. So keep an eye on UNH. 290 to 300 is its pretty significant support. I don't see it dropping below that yet. Any more serious news from the DOJ on them might drop them down below 290 to toward the 280s, 275. But so far, it's holding pretty strong between 290 and 300. So keep an eye on that one. It is expensive in comparison to the last ones I've shown you, but that definitely, if you have the capital to at least DCA some shares in there, I do believe over time, either they're going to be partnered, acquired, or they're going to figure their crap out, and they're going to finally get back up there to the 400s, for sure 400s, if not, back up to their all-time highs of 500s. That one's going to take us some time. All right. The last two categories is auto parts. O'Reilly had what I'm pretty sure I didn't look this up, but as far as prices are concerned, the price that I was buying into was over $1,000 per share for O'Reilly, not that long ago. And I had sold everything because things got crazy through March and April, and I wanted to bring that capital somewhere else. And I didn't have tons in there. Obviously, the 1,000 a share is hefty, but the fun part with that is I went back to look because one of our members here at the Discord noticed its upswing, and it was in the 90s. I'm like, what? They must have a stock split. So as most things do, they have stock splits, but then the shares tend to tank off for a little while, and then they come back. And so I think we're finally back in that upswing. So in the 90s, far more affordable to anybody in comparison to over $1,000 a share. O'Reilly and Advanced Auto Parts. Advance has had some issues for sure, but I believe they're turning around the ship and starting to find their feet. And at 56 a share, I do think this one might be one for your watch list, and keep an eye on that either for long-term calls, options, or simply just DCA into the shares, because as we enter a difficult financial part of our world, people are going to spend less on vehicles that are newer and try to repair the ones they have, in which case auto parts stores, I feel, will fare pretty well. So keep an eye on those, especially with that stock split with O'Reilly. Last one is iBit and ETH-A. Now, I mentioned this tonight in the Discord, and a member goes, ETH-A? Which one is that? Yeah, we always hear about different Ethereum spot ETFs, but ETHU is one that is always floating through our Discord. And, ETH-A was a different one. And what ETH-A and iBit have in common is they're from iShares family, which is BlackRock owned and managed. And so I was doing some research on it, and BlackRock was acquiring a whole bunch of Ethereum, and it was pushing up ETH-A. And as we saw today with Ethereum's nice pump out of nowhere, it is going strong. Technicals look good still. So I would say if we, we're not we're a little past halfway now to its all-time highs, but or at least the recent all-time highs, and keep an eye on ETH A versus ETH U. ETH U is leveraged and it's not part of the iShares family. You can look at them real fast since we might as well. We're at what, 15 minutes here. So we'll go out to a year. It's not done much. ETHU has pretty much, struggled for the last year, but ETH A, if we compare the two, it's come up. It's above the 50, holding on that 50 right there. I mean, beautifully broke through back in May after the whole Liberation Day fiasco, and we've retested the 50, almost lost it, but came back up here, even though we have a red MACD and we have finally have the stochastic indicators becoming slightly bullish. Though it's coming up, we do have the bear line above the bull line. So it's trying to crash, but we have volume increasing on the dailies. We can jump over to the 4-hour. But I think when you have BlackRock buying in by the millions and it's managed by them, big names, you might hate BlackRock, I get it. But if you want to make money, you kind of have to follow those that have the money, right? So in this case, we have some really big volumes, pushing it above the 50, landed on the 50, and we're going for it. So if we can break above the early June highs of 20, let's say 22 with some wicks, we break above 22, I believe we have a nice upswing to come back up to the 26 and even 30s range. Okay, and IBIT, that's just a iShares BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, spot ETF. So keep an eye on both those because Bitcoin obviously ran really big today, and we have a lot of analysts saying Bitcoin is going to really push. All right, so that's it. I covered a lot. So maybe you want to watch this again or nitpick what you want to see. I went from inexpensive Bitcoin digital stocks all the way up to the more pricey, UNH, O'Reilly, Advanced. All right, I appreciate everybody watching, and I went quick, so definitely rewind. Come over to the Discord. As you saw that landing page, description has a link, and so does the bio. See you out there. Thank you.